Okay, Wrath Aeon of Ruin is out of early access. You missed the beginning of the opening cutscene where I'm pulling up in a boat because it wasn't full screen yet. I didn't want to show my full desktop behind the game, so here we go. A lot of things to kind of tweak. The default settings I don't think will be optimal for just about anyone. Oh, look at this. There's a story now. There's a guy talking to you. Okay, so you don't even start off with your starting weapon. In the early access version, it dropped you off at the hub area with your wrist blade. Okay, so saving in this game is kind of weird. You can't just save whenever you want. You have to either use a consumable or you have to go to one of these shrines which only work once. It's not my favorite thing, but it's not like unplayably punishing either. I think you can turn it off in the options anyway. So here's the wrist blade. The blade of urination. Okay, I'm about to urinate all over these guys. There's the primary fire, which is useless, and then there's the secondary fire, which lets you do a Superman punch. Superman punch is crucial to the game because you can wipe out a bunch of low-level mobs at once, and you can use it to jump further. But yeah, just with this blade, don't even bother left-clicking, just right-click only. The movement's a little slippery in this game. It's based on the Quake engine. It's like a modified Quake engine, so like, that's kind of to be expected. It's not quite as slippery as Half-Life 1 to where it feels clumsy, but it's noticeably slippery to the point where sometimes it's a little hard to move and shoot at the same time. Or maybe the slipperiness is just more noticeable in Half-Life 1 because you have to be in these cramped spaces and do platforming and stuff more. I don't know. So, as you can see, this game is a Legend of Zelda ripoff. We're smashing pots and searching for keys. There's that Superman punch jump. Okay, so now they're teaching us how to use items, which, honestly, fair enough. I always forgot to use these when I played the early access. There were so many times I could have survived things if I had just used an item instead of taking everything on the chin and dying. You gotta break everything in this game. It's just like going to Walmart. The key is to break everything you see. Break whatever you can't steal, steal whatever you can't break. Okay, so here's the soul tether. You get like a handful of these in each level. Usually you'll end up using 1 or 2 in a level. I probably didn't need to do that. But the thing about this game is, like, after it gives you a soul tether, a lot of the time there will be an ambush just around the corner. I died to, like, bullshit ambushes so many times in the early access version, I hated it. I mean, it's a fun game, it's just like... The way ambushes were triggered and the absolute bloodbaths you would get, even like starting from level 1, is a little overwhelming for a game where your saves are limited. I mean, I beat the early access, so it's not like, oh, a skill issue, you just weren't good enough. It was just kind of a pain. Okay, I think this is about where the early access one started. Yep, there we go. Jump across. This is how the early access started. Except there wasn't the guy there. I actually love this area. It's very, it's like black metal combined with weirdcore liminal space vibe. And the next level I'm going to get into is the same thing after I escape from the ugly catacombs. There's a certain serenity to the darkness, you know what I mean? It's grim, but it's very calming at the same time. Reminds me of listening to a song by like Iron Cthulhu Apocalypse or Cryo Chamber. You know, one of those dark ambient channels. Does anyone else listen to dark ambient? Leave a comment and let me know if you do. I feel like it's such a niche thing, but I know I have people who enjoy Quake in my subscriber base. So if you like Quake, you've at least heard dark ambient music before. Like I said, right click only. I'm lost already. I see ammo, that must mean a gun is nearby. By the way, at least in early access, this game had a way of giving you just barely enough ammo to get by, so definitely scavenge whenever you can. This isn't one of those games where you can just stick to one weapon and do minimal exploration. You gotta use all your weapons and you gotta keep them all stocked up. Here we go. The starter pistol is a full-on hand cannon. Now, moving and shooting at the same time in this game takes some getting used to. It feels slippery and I don't know, I can't quite get my left hand and my right hand to fully agree on how fast to move. This could be something where I just need to tweak my mouse sensitivity a little, or turn on mouse acceleration, or something like that. But it's not unplayable. It's just with when I'm using weapons like the pistol that have a, you know, it's a very narrow hit scan kind of thing. It can lead to me needing to slow down a little when I'm shooting, not just circle strafe everything. I can eventually get the hang of circle strafing while shooting in this game, but if you're like changing directions and shooting at the same time, like here, see this? It's a little more tactical. It's a little more take cover and isolate one enemy at a time when you can. This won't always be an option, by the way. There will be some open run and gun arenas, but you don't have to use the pistol in those. And in fact, you probably shouldn't use the pistol in those until you're either out of other ammo or you're fighting little flying dudes. But yeah, run and gun with the Fang Spitter or with the shotgun is pretty viable. It's just this pistol for some reason. It takes so much accuracy, and if you're like changing direction a lot, running back and forth, turning unpredictably, it's just the slidiness of the movement makes it hard to get just the right amount of mouse movement. Okay, I'm gonna cut out a little bit of this where I just get lost in the catacombs here, so I'll see you near the end of it. Okay, and here we are, about to get out of these ugly catacombs. There was some fighting in there, but there was like a lot of me just wandering around because I lost my way. Anyway, here we are. I really love these big open snow fields. It's just the right mix of gloomy with pretty. It's got almost a Dark Souls 2 vibe to it. Honestly, having played more of this game now while I'm recording the commentary, I would describe this as being like Quake gameplay with Dark Souls 2 vibes, which is actually pretty convenient because Quake has good gameplay, and Dark Souls 2 has good vibes but shit gameplay. Took a screenshot somewhere around here to send to one of my friends and ask if it looked like a black metal album. So, I mentioned earlier this game has a lot of, it has weird kind of physics, weird kind of aiming. I think I'm getting the hang of it. I'm definitely landing more shots while moving now, but, I don't know, this game has its own kind of certain skills to it. It's, you can't just go in with general FPS skill and expect to be good at it. Like, let's say you came in straight from Dusk or Ultra Kill. That's not enough to automatically be good at this game. The movement is slippery. The aiming feels a little, I don't know how I would describe it, but moving and aiming at the same time is the issue. And you also have to get used to using all of your alt fires, okay? So, the shotgun's alt fire is way too situational, way too slow to ever be a bread and butter thing. But, it is useful for taking out stuff that you don't want to get close to. There I took that screenshot. But, the pistol's alt fire is good for when you don't want to waste a shotgun shell. Then you've got the nail gun, Fang Spitter, whatever you want to call it. Its alt fire is good for going even faster when you want to burst down someone who's right up in your face, which is actually really good for the worst enemies in the game. I'll tell you what the worst enemies in the game are later on when they show up. Then you've got your think they call it Retcher, launches these cysts full of acid, and its alt fire launches a barrage of 3 of them. But yeah, if you don't use your, if you don't make good use of your alt fires and your totems, you're gonna die unnecessarily a lot. And I think that's a lot of the mistakes I was making early on in this game. There we have the Fang Spitter. It's just the Quake Nail Gun. Don't fix what ain't broken, right? The enemy attacks in this game have this kind of way of luring you into a false sense of security and making you think you're about to successfully dodge them when actually you're not. I don't know. It's a weird thing. Maybe it's to do with the hitboxes or something, but there's so many times I'm like, oh yeah, I just sidestep this thing and then I get hit by it. It's there's a lot to get used to in this game, like I said. I would not recommend this as your first ever FPS. This is, it's got its own thing going on. I'm not saying it's so difficult that, you know, it's only for hardcore gamers. I'm just saying if you don't know how to play FPS yet, this isn't the place to start learning. They actually made this game a lot easier by this point. Back in early access, I would have died to bullshit at least once by now. And I almost died of bullshit here. See, I don't know what they're expecting you to do there. Like, I was lucky I made it out of that one, because they cut off my goddamn retreat. And I know people who have played this game are expecting me to say that guy who just charged at me was the worst enemy in the game. That's not the worst enemy in the game. It's a little mini boss, and yeah, it can kill you kind of unfairly sometimes. But the worst enemy in the game hasn't popped up yet. A lot of wandering through catacombs in this game. I try to cut out most of the boring parts, at least if they're really boring. I don't know, if that's making my first impression video not informative enough, let me know in the comments. I just feel like no one wants to watch me stumble around a very samey catacomb for like 5 minutes at a time. Generally, if I have nothing to say and there's nothing that looks cool going on, like, I just cut it out. I don't know what the hell I'm doing here. Like I said, I struggled to aim and shoot at the same time in this game until very recently. I'm good at it in other FPS games, like I can do it in Herat, I can do it in Dusk, I can especially do it in Ultra Kill. You have to do it in Ultra Kill all the time, but like this game in particular, it's a very Quake-like movement, which is weird because in Quake I can also aim and shoot at the same, or aim and move at the same time better than in this game. So I'm assuming I don't want to fall in this lava. This game is a little exploration heavy, but hey, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not like Hedon Bloodright where you have to solve like legit puzzles and it becomes a borderline like adventure game. But like, it's definitely, you won't have to worry about any kind of extreme linearity in this game. There's no Call of Duty hand-holding, there's no get back to the mission area. Which is good. That's why I like these old-style games, is because they don't force you to, you know, be on rails. This game, though, I tend to get lost a lot. Catacombs are the worst offender in just getting me turned around where I forget where I'm going. Alright, I skipped some more stuff there. Anyway, we're about done with this dark little dungeon here. And back out into the snowfield to wander some more. That guy just saved me a little bit of ammo. There is no way to reliably dodge this guy, by the way. I've tried pretty much everything. His tracking is just so good that sometimes you're gonna get hit no matter what. The pistol gets really boring to use after a while. Like, you'll find yourself using it a lot to either save ammo or to pick off enemies at a distance, but it becomes so monotonous. Okay, so this right here is the worst thing in the game. You see this flying three-faced thing? Those things will swarm you and surround you later on in the game, and it is just bad to deal with. I did, after recording this footage, discover that you can actually one-shot them with the alt-fire for the Blade of Ruination, but I played this game for probably a year or two in early access and never even thought to try to melee them. So I was wasting a bunch of cysts and a bunch of fangs on him, like, constantly. So, okay, guys, so I want to keep showing you the rest of this first level. I want to give you an idea of what this game is like, show you the rest of my playthrough. I'm running out of things to say, though, but luckily I've heard that on YouTube, the more relaxed, just like, unedited, story time over gameplay footage kind of format is making a comeback. People are really looking for something like that instead of the over-edited TikTok meme cancer, which is good. It's good for people like me. I don't really know how to do the editing for engagement thing, as they call it anyway. I know two styles of editing. I know the chill, minimalist kind, like you're seeing right now. And then I know the video game donkey kind, where you just edit together all the funny parts of a game while screaming. But anyway, if you're still watching this, let me know. Actually, if you're still watching this, let's play a little joke on the people who didn't watch it. If you're still watching this, leave a comment that says, "This game sucks, Call of Duty is better." And we can start a little argument with the people who didn't watch the whole video. It'll be funny. We do a little trolling. Anyway, I actually recorded this gameplay footage in 3 or 4 parts. I had a power outage right after I started recording this, so the voiceover took a while. It's been a rough couple weeks, man. It has sucked. I hope you guys are doing better than I've been doing, because it's just been tough, dude. Power went out, and then the power going out led to my boiler that I rely on for heat, the circuitry in it getting fried. So I was without heat for another like day and a half after the power came back on. But yeah, luckily I at least did get a part-time job. This is the longest I've been unemployed since I turned 18, but I'll at least be bringing in a little bit of change I can scrape together. Hopefully I'll get up to 500 viewers on here pretty soon too. I know what I have to do that. It is quite clear that you guys want me to be a Dark Souls channel. The algorithm wants me to be a Dark Souls channel. Here I am still not playing Dark Souls. That's probably why I'm not at 500 yet. But I have a Dark Souls video written. It's ready to go. I just have to record the voiceover for that and record some gameplay footage. Now that I'm broke, it seems like now's the time all my gaming controllers have started getting stick drift too, which is a little rough, makes Dark Souls streaming a little harder. I've got one that I refurbished myself. It's like actually not too bad. The stick drift hits maybe, once every so many times I flick the thumbstick down, it'll pop back up. Not like pushing down, like, clicking it. But when I push down on it like you're looking down or up or whatever, it'll kind of go in the opposite direction. That's maybe 1 out of every 20 or 30 times I do it, so it's not insufferable just yet. But yeah, that's another one of the worst things in the game is those guys that scream and run at you. If you don't have your weapon ready, or if you miss your first shot with the shotgun, they will chew up a significant amount of your health. So yeah, like I said, this game is, there are parts that are frustrating, but if this was still as hard as it was in early access, I would have died to like some bullshit ambush by now. I probably would have died at least 2 or 3 times by now. That early access was a real ball buster. This thing, the Retcher, look at that animation. I would describe that as being like anti-sensual. It's the exact opposite of sensual. That's the only description I can come up with for that. It's kind of like, what's that one game where it's like the art style is inspired by Geiger, but like the actual game itself turned out to kind of suck? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? I forget what it was called. I was gonna buy it, but then I didn't when I saw the reviews. This little like journal here is completely useless, but it's still cool to look at. All the little drawings and stuff. It gives absolutely no useful info on anything in the game. It's just a cool little art thing, I guess. Do I just have Dark Souls derangement syndrome, or does this game kind of try and fail to do a Dark Souls like unlocking shortcuts to the checkpoints thing, but then it fails because you just have to reload a save if you die anyway? I don't know. I feel like the shortcut thing is very very trendy ever since Dark Souls and ever since people understood what made Dark Souls so good. Although I still maintain this game has more of a Dark Souls 2 vibe than anything. Maybe I'll start streaming this game too. It's weird enough that this would probably be like a quick weekday stream, a daytime thing or something. I don't think this is going to be something that has any real commercial appeal for streaming, because the retro shooter market is it's a dedicated cult fan base, but it's not nearly as big as the Soulsborne fan base. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I'm vaping while I'm doing this. I wish I had more useful things to say to fill up the entire 40 minutes of this, but hey, it is what it is. By now you've probably already figured out if you're going to buy this game or not, and that's fine. I'd recommend buying it. I forget how much it is. I actually don't know how much it is right now. I bought it in early access for probably like 15, 20 bucks. I'd say it was worth that. If it's still around that price range, I'd recommend getting it. It's weird, it has its frustrating parts, but there's a certain vibe to it. And if you miss playing Quake, I would suggest this game too. Dude, I used to waste all my fangs and all my retcher assists on these stupid flying face things. But yeah, this is a game I would recommend. It's good to play like one episode at a time, both because the episodes are pretty, not episode, but level, one level at a time. The levels are pretty long, and you will die a decent amount in the later ones. But the game can also burn you out pretty quick just because it's pretty balls to the wall. It's kind of samey, like there's only a few types of enemies in the game, and this game throws a lot at you at once, really keeps you on your toes. Generally, after I play about a level and a half, I'm pretty frazzled. I don't know, if you're young, you might be able to go for longer. But yeah, despite its frustrations, this game, it's like Quake, but the shooting is more satisfying. Like when you shoot something with a shotgun, you really get to see it splatter. It's I wish... Wait, there might actually be a rocket launcher in later levels. I haven't gotten that far yet. I wish it, or I hope it does end up having a Quake-style rocket launcher, though. Because the cyst launcher is more of like a grenade launcher thing. It's just not as satisfying. I like that really cool, just quick projectile explosion that can go long distances. I was trying to make, I actually got Unity, and I was trying to learn to make my own game just so I could make a game where you get to main rocket launchers and you get to use a rocket launcher as your main weapon. I was gonna reskin it to something cool, though, where you were like a mage and you could shoot out fireballs instead of rockets, but they acted just like the Quake rockets. And then I was gonna give you like a wind blast, too, that you could use to rocket jump without taking damage and also reflect enemy projectiles. I started learning Unity, but Unity is really fucking hard, dude. And then they started making all those shady business decisions, and I'm like, well, now I don't trust him anyway. So I just kind of gave up on that. I swear, like, I used to be smarter when it came to programming stuff. When I was, like, in middle school and high school, I was learning Macromedia Flash. I guess it was Adobe Flash later on, but I was making, like, rudimentary Flash games. I was learning ActionScript, you know, learning how to do basic coding. I feel like I learned stuff so much quicker back then, and I feel like, if anything, I've lost some of my talents in terms of that. Kind of makes me afraid of what else I'm gonna lose over time. I gotta start picking up my guitar again before I lose that, too. Pretty soon I'm just gonna be, some untalented schlub if I keep abandoning the things that I was learning when I was young. I figured out, probably when I was about 18, I figured out why people in their 30s and 40s were all miserable. And it's because they spend so much of their time working that that's all they can really think about. They don't even have time to stop and think about who they are as a person and what matters to them and what things they're not willing to let go of. It's a sad thing. And I promised I wouldn't let it happen to me, and I'm trying not to. Creating this channel, I guess, is somewhat part of that. But, man, growing up is, a lot of people say it's maturity when you give up a lot of the stuff that used to make you happy, but it's really just life wearing you down. And, you know, the current system in pretty much every developed country is designed to get as much work out of you as possible and make it so you gotta bust your ass just to get by. We have freedom in name only, pretty much. I'm not saying you can't force it, but everything is there to demotivate you. I think I did a cool little thing here. I pushed ahead, killed some stuff because I was confident I could beat this, and then I go back to the shrine. I think that's what I did. Here you see it almost backfiring, but I pulled it off. That's why I'm not even picking up those health pickups. And there we go. My plan worked. I know the tone has shifted a lot over the course of this video. This is actually my third day of recording it, and this is after a mix of running out of useful gameplay critiques and also discovering that a more relaxed style of YouTube video making is coming back into style. So now that I've been told it's okay to just kind of casually yap over some gameplay footage, screw it, why not finish out the video this way? A lot of the people won't even make it far enough to hear this part. But, you know, that's fine. Maybe I should start putting Easter eggs in my videos. Maybe that's a way to boost retention. Easter eggs could be, I don't know, spicy pictures of me or something. Nobody even knows what I look like. I actually prefer it that way. If my face was out there on this, like, if it's a platform where my face is visible, I feel like I have to take criticism more seriously and get into these e-beefs with people more, because I feel like my honor is on the line at that point. But if my name and face are both hidden, like, it doesn't matter. I can let more shit slide. Let the trolls troll a little bit, as long as they're not putting anything that is culturally and ideologically cancerous out there. At this point, I still didn't know how to deal with those flying face monsters, man. Also, you like how I've opened up the codex and looked at the monster types, but I still don't know the proper name for any of them? That's kind of my thing. I can't even remember what a lot of the enemies in Quake are called. I know they're really, like, oh shit kind of enemies, like the Vors and the Shamblers. I think the flying snake things are called Scrags. I guess I know ogres, too. Well, that's most of them. I guess that's good enough. Doom, I only have the monster names sort of memorized because when you get to Eternal, that really hammers their names into your brain, because it gives you tutorials on how to deal with each one. Not a good enough tutorial for the Marauders, though, if I'm being perfectly honest. Like, it should basically tell you that you can hit them more than once if you do the weapon switch thing, because I didn't think you could skip cooldowns by switching at first, because, like, That was widely regarded as a glitch that was being patched out of most modern games. But, yeah. Of course, now that they've got the stun animation where they've got, like, the whole dizzy, like, loopy kind of animation going on, it's a little more obvious. They didn't always have that, though. I don't think that came in until the DLC was released. These things are literally just scrags or whatever those Quake things were. So you're about to see a strategy here for the end of the level that works really well early on, but they start shutting it down in later levels, which is once you grab the rune there to end the level, you run right for the portal. Don't even bother fighting stuff. Just run directly for it. This works for like the first 2 or 3 levels, and then after that, they start putting you in situations where you can't just do that. Like, look at that. Sidestep them, 0 damage taken. Anyway, I'd give this game about an 8 out of 10. You should check it out.